Wages World here. It is June 1st, 2020. I come at you with a video. Alright guys, we're going to start here on the Schumann. Yeah, we're still getting spikes. Again, I have to point out, and I'm going to point this out every time until it quits doing it. Pulsing. I mean, that's... Yeah, I mean, I just really don't know what to say about that. That most definitely is some pulsing. Now, I've also noticed something else here that, you know, some other people might not notice because they don't look at it as much as I do. But if you guys look real close here, you see that? It's a backward C. Well, actually, it's a frontward C if you look at it. But I think what that is, you remember the spheres that we were seeing there at that hertz level. Okay? I think that's part of that. Whether it was to continue out. Now, when I zoomed out like this earlier, the first thing I seen, and check this out, guys, was this. Now, that about blew my mind because that is not spherical. That is hexagonal. Okay? That is six-sided is what that is. Okay? So, it's very faint, but it's there. I would encourage everybody to go look at it for themselves. Maybe even put a filter on there to look at it better. But you can most definitely see it, and it's almost like it has... Well, I hate to say this, guys, but it looks almost like Ezekiel's will. There's so much weird stuff going on, I don't even want to add to it. You know what I mean, guys? But I have to be truthful for what I see here. That's what I'm seeing. I mean, you guys, it's very faint, but it looks like Ezekiel. I mean, even in the middle, you could tell that right in the stinking middle of that, there is something there, okay? And then on the sides, like this, you know, and to me, guys, that's not a natural thing. That, you know, when you see perfect geometric shapes like that, that is something that's being caused by something intelligent. You know, we see this stuff on the poles of Saturn and stuff lately. That was one of the new things we've seen here in the past couple years. The hexagonal shape, you know, showing up there. There's a lot of weird stuff going on when we come to shapes. Now, we all know, and that's why I'm talking about it here, because, guys, with frequency, if you dial in the right frequency, you can make any shape you want. Just by using frequency. Depending on the material that you're using, depending on the substrate, and whatever, you know, whatever you're using there, you know, like water. Now, have you guys ever watched Blue Man Group? I'm not sure if you guys know who that is. Maybe I'm dating myself. I know they still do their shows like in Chicago and Vegas and all that. You know, basically it turns into a rock show, but if you guys remember the Intel computer commercials from back in the day, they were blue. Those guys were blue because that was the Blue Man Group. And they did a lot of drum stuff, but in their show, they would actually beat on the drums with these with water beads and everything else, and it was just really cool. But they were using frequency and they were producing shapes. Okay, so they were doing it in music, so you know they can do it in other stuff also. And I say that because, you know, again, we're looking at a frequency tool here. Okay, there's no reason why it couldn't produce shapes. I encourage everybody to look that up because it'll blow your mind what you can do if you dial in the right frequency at the right intensity. And, you know, guys, I mean, you can just produce any shape you want. Seriously. So, that's a very legit thing to look at. Now, again, guys, if you guys focus out, let your focus on your eyeballs just kind of, instead of just focusing on something, let it kind of blur out. Let your eyes relax. When you're looking at this stuff sometimes, and I'm telling you, you're going to see more than what you think. You actually see stuff out of your peripheral that you didn't catch because you were so focused on something else. And that's how I've seen stuff like this, okay? Not to mention that I do look at this stuff all the time. And again, what I'm looking at here, guys, is right here. Okay? That is a hexagon with almost like what looks like spokes, which would look like Ezekiel's wheel, guys. So, you know, take that for whatever you want to take it there. Is that something that's being done intentional? I can't help but think that it most definitely is. Okay, you know, you put the middle there, you put your little spokes out here, and you got Ezekiel's will, guys. So anyway, that's something I noticed, and I just wanted to bring that to you and show it to you. And also, you know, the spiking, number one, ringing in your ears and anything else that goes along with that, plus the pulsing. So that's what I noticed there. So we're going to move on. Okay, guys, I got you over at Seeds, and guess what? Watch this. Another CME. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Okay, now this one here, guys, is going off the backside. Now, something else of note, guys. Remember I showed you guys the comment yesterday? Well, it's in this capture. It's on the same here. Watch it. It's going to show up. Be right in here. You'll see it start diving in. See that? So, you know, after it got so far into the picture there, we lost it. Okay? Now, does that mean the sun ate it up? I don't know. It could have not. Don't know. But I do think that it was the same comment that we seen on HI1 that I was showing you guys. So either it started making its turn, or it just went ahead and went on the other side of the sun, or eventually maybe the solar wind got to it. Who knows? You know, we just got to wait and see. If it does do its little whip around move, we may see it coming back around the other side from another satellite, or even from this one. Just depends. Because it won't take it long to travel. I guarantee you that. But here's that CME. You want to check this out. This thing here is kind of crazy looking. Right there. And then, guys, you can definitely see that thing is just like rumbling. Now, the first question is, you know, guys, I always say, we don't know what direction this is going. Because the satellite's here. And Earth's right there. Satellite's there. And it's looking. It's from our view. Right? But even though it looks like it's going straight to the left, it could actually be coming this way. Or that way. In this case, I think it's going away from us. So let me show you why. I'm going to take you over to Stereo A. This is Stereo A. This is our side view of the sun. Okay, so the Earth is here. The satellite we're looking at here is from here. So even though it looked like it was going to the left, guys, kind of ignore that one. That was Mike and Cindy must be going live here. Anyway, you can tell how even though it looked like it was going straight to the left from our view from over here, it's actually going back this way. So it's not coming at us. It's not a danger to us. But we still got to pay attention to these things, guys. Okay? You know, I'm past, you know, all the whatever people saying we shouldn't even really be paying attention to anything like that. You know, if it's not going to affect the Earth, why do we talk about it? Well, because it points to other stuff that does. And we can learn from it. So that's why. So I'm going to continue to talk about it, whether people, you know, bash me for it or not. I don't really care. But and I hope you guys appreciate that, because I want you guys to, you know, have as much observational, you know, evidence as you can gather yourself. So, you know, that's my goal. I want everybody to be able to look at these tools and know what they're looking at, so that, you know, eventually you don't have to come listen to me. You know, I'm not, guys, let me say this one more time. Okay? I'm not here for clicks or for views. I enjoy each and every one of you guys that I talk to. I really do. Okay? And if all this stuff was to go away, I still would talk to you guys. I've gained so many friends doing this. And way more friends than I've had enemies here. Okay? I will say that. You know, I really don't want to say I have any real, like, quote unquote enemies. Because I really can get along with anybody, you know, as long as they give me a chance. Even though I might not agree with what they're saying, doesn't mean I can't like them. So, anyway, we'll move on from that. So that CME is not coming at us, just so you guys know. Okay, guys, this is over at spaceweather.com. They're basically just telling you the same thing I just said. New solar flare activity. What we were looking at there was like B-class flare stuff. Okay? And it is coming from another active area on the sun that's off, you know, it's not Earth-facing yet. Very similar to what happened with the other flares that have been happening over there with other active regions. They were probably sunspots, okay? But we can't designate them unless they're Earth-facing. That's why they didn't designate them as such. That's one of the rules that's kind of odd, in my opinion. You know, if we got a sideways view of the sun, and we can see what's there. Why can't we designate it as a sunspot? I guess because they actually base solar minimum and maximum, the percentages from Earth-facing sunspots. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But obviously, they're saying the same thing here. And again, guys, go check this channel out, this website. You guys will learn a lot over here. You really will. Says introducing the green ghost. I would encourage you guys to read that article there. And again, let me show you guys this. Look at this. Okay. Again, 79%. Right now we're at 121 days total this year with no sunspots facing Earth. But yet last week, man, did it get busy. You know what I mean? But like I said, guys, it's weird that upticked like that. Now, if that holds, if that percentage holds out, man, that almost, in my mind, I think it's probably going to be a first. That, that year after we knew we were in solar minimum, the end of the solar minimum here, that next year was greater in the days that it was missing sunspots. I don't know if that's ever happened. And I already talked about that, because you can see it here. See, here's that one, 73%, and then the next year was 71. It went down. It didn't go up like this is doing right now, currently. Okay? And again, we don't know until the year's over, obviously. But we're halfway through. Okay, we are. We're halfway through right now. Well, at the end of this month, we'll be halfway through. So, that's what I would say to that. But go check them out over here, guys. I mean, they really do some good work. Okay, they talk about sprites and everything else, man. I mean, there's a lot of articles here, and you can learn a lot from this website. So that's what I would say to that. Okay, guys, we're going to take a look at the geoelectric model. Okay, electric field model. What this is it's space weather's effect on our electrical grid or artificial electrical components. It's showing you the intensity of the chances of it actually messing with us a little bit. So obviously the more brighter the colors get, like towards purple and red, that would be the more intense. And actually we're getting some more than normal activity there. You guys seeing all that? Anybody that's been watching my channel for a minute knows that this tool is about a year old now. And typically it stays that base blue color, not even that light blue. But also, guys, if you want to know the intensity, just go right here. See where it says maximum E field? Okay. It's registering here in millivolts, I think, is what that means. So you see that number bouncing around. If you want the overall intensity, you see how it gets up there like 11 and 13. I showed you guys this once before, and it was like hitting 58 and 59. So when it's doing that, we're getting some energy from somewhere. Now, we're going to see a lot of activity like this in the coming days, okay? As we go more towards the solar maximum, we're going to be having more activity. So I look for this tool, which is almost brand new, like I said, to get very active. Now, Troy, you guys know Troy, he started a channel actually after he caught the one anomaly. Last year in California, with the quakes that were happening out there, man, right when that stuff started, this thing right here, right over top where that earthquake was, the initial earthquake turned purple and like really bright dark red, even into the whites, okay? And then the whole country went to, yellows and oranges and stuff. Something hit us, blasted us really good, really quick. But then that earthquake happened. Now there's been, questions whether or not that was reversed. Now, they have proven that sometimes the earthquakes can actually affect the electrical systems, okay? As far as tricking these tools to thinking that it was something from space. So that does happen from time to time. Maybe that's what happened then, because at Ridgecrest, that was a definite big earthquake, plus the big swarm afterwards. Also, we've been having some swarms around Yellowstone, too. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, I got you over at Space Weather Prediction Center. I'm just kind of running you guys down through the typical stuff we look at, just so we can all look at it together. Now, see, look at this. Okay? Even though that flare I just showed you guys was CME, probably both. It was probably a flare and a CME. Okay? Now, I've said this before. up until, a few years back, they used to think that it was just flares. They didn't designate between flare and CME. It was all just one event. That's just what they called it. But they figured out, hey, that wasn't right, so they started correcting stuff. What you're seeing here, guys, is our X-ray flux is rising. Now, this is what we look at for flares, right? We've been talking about this here the past few weeks. It's on the rise. It's in the B range, okay? And you can see where it wasn't like a spike up like that. It was kind of a slow rise and down, okay? So with that being said, even though that spot is off the side of the sun, it's still giving us some little extra X-ray, okay? That's what's going on there, just so you know. So that stuff is spreading out. It's what it does, okay? It's kind of like a shotgun. I've said that before. When you fire a shotgun, the pellets don't hold a real tight pattern like a single bullet. They spread out. That's why shotguns are so deadly, all right? Because they, you don't have to, you really don't have to aim. You just got to get the gun in a general direction. You're going to hurt somebody. But what I'm saying is that's kind of what's going on here with X-rays and CMEs, with solar flares and CMEs, okay? This is something else we don't typically look at a whole lot, is the proton flux, okay? Now, guys, I want to explain this too. When you see the word flux, you know what that means? That means it's different from normal. So it can flux low or it can flux high. That we have to keep that in mind. So when somebody's telling you, hey, this thing is, the X-ray flux is all jacked around, well, it could have it could be going down instead of up. It's just the difference of what we consider normal. That's what flux is. It's fluctuating, obviously. Okay? Okay, guys, we're going to take a look at this real quick, too. I'm going to dig into this a little bit more before I get you guys off here. You can see where our geomagnetic activity is also spiking right now. And it may have something to do with that CME that blew off the sun. It may be coming our direction a little bit more than what I thought. So we're going to go look at SDO and check it out here in just a second. But before we do that, you can see that, all these things here. Now, what you're seeing, this is something that is kind of typical when we get like CME energy and stuff. You see the solar wind speed. See how it's staying pretty constant, solid line, okay? Because the data point on there is a dot. So the only way to get a solid line is for the solar wind speed to stay about the same and be right next to each other. And it forms a line, basically. If you guys have ever looked at a TV, an older TV, you look at it, it's red, green, and blue, and they're little dots. That's what makes up your picture, guys. When they're talking about pixels, that's what they're talking about. All those things together, okay? So, anyway, that right there is, the solar wind speed was between 400 and 450. Didn't get anything over that. Now, that is a little elevated to what we've been seeing. Any other time, we would call that normal, though, okay? But what's strange is the density. Look at the density. Now, there's been a lot of articles and a lot of new stuff coming out showing that the density is probably affects us a lot more than what the actual speed does, okay? In other words, it's got more mass, so it hits us harder. So, take that for what it's worth. We can use, get a high dense material moving slow. Now, I want to show you guys this too real quick. Here's the sun. Here's the Earth. We're connected by interplanetary magnetic field lines, okay? So I'm going to draw you a line. That's what that is. Now, when solar wind leads the sun, if it's low dense solar wind, what it does is it travels on that line of magnetism, that connectivity. So if it's low, if it doesn't have very much density, it comes like this. Okay, see how big the spiral is there? Now, if it's high density, what it does is it holds closer. Okay, so it gives us a more direct punch, is what I'm trying to say. And they do. They follow those lines of magnetism. All right, that's how it travels here. So, little quick lesson on that, I guess. Now, the temperature, they really didn't move a whole lot, but the density and the phi angle was kind of moving around. Plus, up here, guys, look at that. Whenever you see that thing go opposite, it's usually there's something going on. So you see the red and the white line. Usually they're hanging out right together, but when they split like that, usually something's going on. Here's the Enlil model. I don't trust this thing for nothing, just so you guys know. I said that 100 times probably. Right now, we're right here in time, so it predicts 5 days out. You can see at Stereo A that because of that that CME or solar flare just blew off. You see how it's showing Stereo A here in the next 3 or 4 days is going to get an uptick in density. Okay, that's why. All right. So that's kind of what we do here. Now, look at this. These are all straight lines. Just normal conditions, it's saying. Now, whether that holds true, if something happens or new data comes in, they will change this model, which is why I don't trust it. I'll go 2 days out with it. Anything after that, I don't like looking at it because it always changes. Just like our local in the 8s. It's kind of crazy. Okay, guys, here's the Aurora forecast. I showed you guys this before, but I don't show it too often, I guess, because it's very neat to look at. It does help us, show people that, hey, yes, we're getting solar weather or space weather, right? Because the auroras happen when we get increased space weather, and it's basically bouncing off of our atmosphere. That's what's causing it. Now, when they get down low to what we call, now I know that this is kind of a basic thing to say, but I didn't know this either until I started doing research, a few years back, that, when they say high latitudes, they're talking up close to the poles, okay? When they say mid latitudes, obviously it's kind of like the midway point between the pole and the equator. Now, if you were to look from the southern hemisphere, if they say high latitudes, it's actually further south, okay? It'd be down towards the South Pole. So that's what they're saying when they say stuff like that. If anybody didn't know that yet. I know it's kind of a... If everybody knew that already, I'm sorry I even said it. But there are, I didn't know it. And I don't assume anything. And I don't think anybody's, stupid or anything like that either. Because, my gosh, man, we all got to learn sometime. You know what I mean? So, if I offended people with that, I do apologize. But that is kind of a basic thing. And I want people to understand that. And that's why I say it. So, anyway. Okay, guys, I got you over SDO. This is the 171. Obviously, this right here is probably why our X-ray flux is rising at a more steady rate. Okay? That's that one sunspot that was doing all the flaring on the side of the sun there. It's calmed down a little bit, but it looks as though it might be regenerating some. That is not an official sunspot either. The cores underneath it aren't showing the characteristics that it needs to be designated as such. So, if it does, then, we'll take a look at it then again. So, but we have a new, even this area here was firing off, gave us a big one the other day, okay? It's kind of petering out too, but now we got another one. This is getting ready to come. That's what spaceweather.com was talking about. See all that? Okay, that was that CME, guys. All right. Now, it does look like it's firing off the back, going towards the back side of the sun, but doesn't mean we can't get a little bit of energy from it. Just letting you know. Now, again, you can see that that's a pretty large area, guys. It's covering a pretty good, and there on the end, if you watch the end of this time lapse, you're going to see something like right here, and it almost looks like that filament's getting ready to flip on out. So we'll watch that. See how it's building right here? Now watch what it does at the end here. See that? And then right there. Did you see how that started lifting up? It was kind of almost looked like a hook. Like that. Okay? That filament looked like it was getting ready to go ahead and release. Now it might. We'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. It's getting ready to happen. Watch right in here. Okay? See that right there on the end? I know it's kind of fast and hard to see. But there's that, we'll watch that CME one more time. From a distance here. Okay. Right. There. See it? Now there looked like it was a flare and a CME. So it looked like there was both. Which happens a lot. Just so you guys know. And again, we don't have to have a sunspot or even an active area on the sun to get CMEs and solar flares. They can happen anywhere at any time. So, now we haven't talked about coronal holes in a minute either. So, listen. Here's the equator of the sun. the Earth kind of sits just to the south of the equator of the sun. When you're talking about the equatorial plane, if you took the equator of the sun and stretched it out throughout our whole solar system, if you sit below or above, depending on where you're at in the solar system, that's called being above or below the ecliptic. Okay? That's what when you hear that word ecliptic, that's what they're talking about. It's either above or below that equatorial line of the sun being stretched out. We always sit just to the south usually. So yeah. But when we're talking about coronal holes, we got to pay attention to what they call the Earth strike zone. If you have a coronal hole here and it's rotating this way, when it rotates right in front of us, that's what they call the Earth strike zone. That's a kind of a common term that they use. So when that hole gets there, we should see increased solar wind speed and density within 3 to 4 days. Basically, it's a solar storm. Okay, it's just an uptick in all that. It changes our geomagnetic activity. It always goes up. Most of the time, guys, we fend it off quite well. And sometimes it even helps us. It helps build back the strength of our magnetic field sometimes. We need some of that to keep us healthy. I've said this a bunch, haven't said it in a while though, that the sun actually protects us from the sun. So if it sends us constant energy, we can kind of, gain our magnetic field strength back. So that way when it does decide it wants to shoot a flare at us, we're able to fend it off. So we need a little bit of help from the sun to protect us from the sun. Okay, guys, I wanted to show you the HI1. This is from Stereo A. Okay, it's our sideways view of the sun. The one I've already taken you guys there a couple times. But this is one of the cameras or one of the tools that are on it. And just for reference, guys, the sun's here. Okay, so the view we're looking at is just to the right of the sun from its point of view. Now, I want you guys to look at that because those are those CMEs and flares happening. All right, now you're seeing, this is a good tool to look at. I haven't shown you guys this much in a very long time because the SETI site has been down for over a year. And, but we can go here and look at the same captures. So, and, it's going to be another learning process for a lot of people because we do see some crazy stuff on this sometimes. But most of the time, guys, with this particular tool, it is a tool flaw. Anytime you see anything bright, like over here, that gets to the edge of the viewing area, it will look like it explodes and shoots light that way. That's what it'll look like, but it's not. It's just coming to the edge of it, and that's how the camera interprets it. Now, you guys see that CME? Here's that double wave stuff I was talking about. And also, here's a comet. Okay? That's that same comet. All right, the one I showed you to earlier was from, the Earth would be here and the sun would be here, and we've seen the comet over here, right? What we're looking at now, the Earth is here. I'm sorry. The sun is here, okay? The Earth would be here. The satellite's over here looking this way. So that's why we see it from this angle. All right, I just think it's cool. It does not look like it's diving into the sun, though. Guys, I've seen on these, especially the red views, we'll see comets come in from behind, like this direction. It'll be going out like this, dude, and then all of a sudden it'll go wham. It really sucks it in sometimes. It's pretty cool. I'll have to go back and find one to show you guys. But this one doesn't seem to look like it's going to do any of that. Now, again, from the other view that we just seen, and again, this one only goes out to, I think it stops here on like the 29th. I don't think we got any more data. That's the drawback of using this tool because it is on a couple of days delay. That says the 29th. How far does it let us get? Yeah, the 29th is as far as we get to see on this tool. So, I guess we could look at it on the red view. Just ignore that. Sorry, guys. Anyway, yeah. So, I got a story to tell you guys real quick. I got attacked by a rooster today. Believe that? You guys believe that crap? Bunch of crap, man. we got a rooster at our where I work at our shop, and this, for whatever reason, this thing, it was from a neighbor, and the rooster just kind of, you know, ended up being the shop rooster now because it left its house and wants to stay with us. But the stinking thing's mean. It started pecking me from the back today, so I turned around and I was like, you know, getting on it, and it started really coming at me, so I had to like throw my leg out and kick it, and you know, I tripped. Stupid thing made me fall. I dislocated my knee. Had to pop it back in 3 different times today. Crazy, man. Over a stupid rooster. Yeah. So, yeah. Thought you guys might enjoy that story. I don't know. I don't know if you did or not. Hope you did. I just thought, you know, share a little bit of something. But here's the HI1 on the Blue View. A lot of times these are in red, but it's the same thing, just under a different color. Not much more to see there, though, guys. It's that comment, so. But we're going to go ahead and end it there, guys. If we see any more, I'll keep you updated on the CME that's just happening. And we'll see what we can do, guys. God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.